Thank you. Thanks, everyone. It's very kind of you to be here today on a chilly January afternoon. And thanks, first of all, for Kiwanis for what you do in our community. You're right, Chuck. It is about the kids. And I'm always honored to be with you, whether I'm here to speak as mayor or whether I'm here as a member of the community that appreciates what this organization does for so many kids. And Chuck, I'm looking forward to the Jambalaya fundraiser. I didn't hear when that one is, but mark me down for that too. That's, sorry, honey. I love that. It's great to have Kim Brooks with me. She doesn't get to come to all of these. And so thank you for welcoming her. My colleagues on the City Council, Tom Cassada is here, and from the 3rd District, and Councilwoman Marsha McKenzie is here. And Marsha, thank you for joining us this afternoon. And they make all of what I'm about to talk about possible. But the people that put it on the screen are City Manager Joe Fivas. I'm thankful Joe's here, and Corey Dival, Assistant City Manager, and Dustin from the IT department. And thank you all for making me look much better than I really am. Andrew, it's good to see you, my friend. Good to have you here. And so I will just jump right into it because I know that you all are excited to hear about the future of Cleveland, Tennessee. Has there ever been a better time to be in Cleveland? We're so blessed. God has richly blessed this community. And I mentioned to former Senator Miller, I am former representative, we are recovering legislators, about how great it is to not be in Nashville. That we are here in Cleveland, Tennessee, the city with spirit, and growth is good. If I had one topic sentence, one of my coaches from Lee is here, but if one of my English teachers were here, they would want a topic sentence. So my topic sentence for today is growth is good. Dustin, it's working. Thank you. Got the thumbs up. Can you ever remember a time in our city when we were growing so fast? County Mayor Eddie Cartwright's here. Folks used to come downtown and go to the Teddy Bear for a cup of coffee, or the Rebel and the Drive-In. And now we go to Aubrey's, or we make our way to Paul Huff and O'Charlie's. Has there ever been a period of faster, larger growth in our city? I don't think so. Ed McMahon, not the one you're thinking of. The other Edward T. McMahon came to Cleveland and had a great presentation about growth and how cities deal with growth. And he said growth is inevitable and desirable. But the destruction of our community character is not. The question is not whether you are part of the world, whether your part of the world is going to change. The question is how. And I would add to Mr. McMahon's wisdom and ask, and how are we going to deal with that growth? Growth in Cleveland is the Cleveland question of our age, of our era. Everyone is talking about how fast we're growing. If you look at the Book of Faces on the interwebs, everyone's talking about Paul Huff. Yes, I agree. We need to fix Paul Huff. But there's so much else good that's going on in our community. How do we want to grow? But at the same time, how do we want to keep the hometown feeling? How are we going to strategically invest in our services and not fall behind? And how are we going to handle our traffic concerns and maintain the quality of life while at the same time, economic vitality? I'm incredibly grateful that Councilman Cassada and Councilwoman McKenzie are here because it was their actions over the last couple of years in refinancing our debt and restructuring our finances that are allowing us to have these conversations of how do we grow well. We finished the process of a bond restructuring package which saved our city over $10 million the day that the council voted to approve it. We moved our total variable debt from 55% to 5%. Now, for those of you, except for Kelvin Bishop, who already knows what this means, we had debt, 55% of our debt was variable. It could go up or down according to the economy. And that is a dangerous way to run your budget. Kelvin is nodding. So I can just tell you now, thanks to the council and their actions, 95% of our budget, of our debt, is now at a fixed rate, which is great going forward. We received a 1.3 interest rate loan for our refinanced debt, and we reduced the overall debt by $30 million over the past 3 years. So, yes, we had a terrible thing called COVID, and yes, people were home, businesses were closed, industries were tragically affected, restaurants, service, hospitality. I can't name a facet of our community that was not economically affected by COVID. That entire time, the city of Cleveland and the city council was focusing on reducing our debt. So in spite of the downturn, we still paid off $30 million of our debt. We talked about, ever since I became mayor in 2018, a new growth plan. Part of that, how many people have seen a construction sign around town? Anybody? One or two? Part of this is a overhaul of the infrastructure that was very much needed. It began with the 20th Street and 17th Street sidewalk projects. It continued with the Dalton Pike sidewalk project and continued all the way down to the Spring Branch, our newest member of the community, Cannon Automotive. This is a brand new industry to our community, and it brings brand new jobs to our community. In fact, it was a $114 million investment from our friends in Canada who chose Cleveland because of our quality of life, because of this region, because of our workforce, and they are bringing approximately 200 jobs when they're completely finished. The Parker Street Greenway and Streetscape, they're in front of the Pie Center. So I'm thankful that our partners at the county began this great initiative called the Pie Center, and I always chuckle when I'm accused of not being a partner with the Pie Center, because we think the $300,000+ that we spent as the city of your dollars, your taxpayer dollars, on that streetscape is very much worth the investment and makes that entire corridor so much more user-friendly, approachable, and ease of use. During this same downturn of the economy, we welcomed the new Cleveland Bradley County Veterans Home. This $45 million structure, of which the city and the council approved $2 million, the county matched that with additional $2 million, and the state and federal offices chipped in the rest. But if you've not had a chance to go out, I know some of you in this room have seen it. It is world class, and I cannot wait. There are 33,000, Corey, is that the right number? 33,000 veterans in Bradley County and Hamilton County who qualify to fill 108 beds. Now, that's going to be difficult to narrow that down, but the 108-bed facility, when it's opened very soon, we hope this spring, is going to be a game changer. So, my friends at the banner, who has heard that Whirlpool has a new owner? I think everybody has. Regardless of the new owner, we are still committed, laser focused on redeveloping this whole property. It doesn't matter to us who has the title or the deed. We still have funding, and the city council still has the plans to move forward. In fact, there is one plan that shows upwards of $1 million in investment by the city in this redevelopment zone. 77 to 100 acres, depending upon which side of the Norfolk Southern Railroad tracks that you're looking at. But all of that area, we are laser focused on getting that redeveloped soon. I'm very thankful. Ava is here with Family Promise, and there are some other organizations who help those in need in our community. And I'm so thankful that the City Council is coalescing and supporting the Affordable Housing Initiative. We have a $400,000 gift and a $300,000 gift, $700,000 total, going towards City Fields, Habitat, and other organizations to immediately invest in affordable housing in the neighborhoods in our city that need it the most. In fact, these are the very first neighborhoods ever built in Cleveland, Tennessee, If you think about the 150-year-old manufacturing heritage that we have on the slide before us on Whirlpool, back when that was Dixie Stove and Dixie Foundry 100 years ago, these were the houses where all the people that worked in the mills and worked in the factories lived. And so we're basically going back to the future and investing in this area. The Sanda Mill redevelopment, I mentioned Whirlpool, but that whole Five Points area, everyone remembers it as the Sanda Hosiery Mill, and for decades they were a viable part of our downtown, but for a few decades it has been empty and unused. So I'm thrilled that the Pie Center is reusing the American Uniform Building, and that the Sanda Building is about to become beautiful retail and residential establishments. It's a $10 million investment on Edward Street. The city has countered, and we are agreeing to fix, so everything in the picture there to my left on that far side is going to be improved immediately. Just across the Five Points intersection is the new HHM Henderson Hutchison McCullough accounting firm is coming to Cleveland. The original Moore building is on the left, and their new architect's renderings of what that will look like, a $3 million investment. If you add the Agora building, which is the old Permnicolor building for all of us that have lived here a long time. So we've redone Permnicolor, Sanda, and now the Moore Pharmacy building. That is a total of $16 million new dollars invested just at the Five Points intersection. And I'm so thankful that the council has led the way on doing that. The newest park, I'm thankful that Councilman Cassada is here because it is in his district, and I'm incredibly grateful to the generosity of Mr. Ron Barker. We actually, Councilman Cassada brought the plan for the new park to the city planners, and Mr. Fivas and Mr. Dival and the people that do the planning on where's the next park going to be, decided on the Candies Creek corridor. Somewhere along that way, we had conversations with a couple of people, and in fact, began the process of negotiating to purchase the land. But when Mr. Barker heard that it was in honor of his good friend Jim Sharp, who developed so much in that area, that we were going to name it in honor of Mr. Sharp, he sent Mr. Cassada a letter and said, I've changed my mind. I'm going to donate all of the land for free because the city is going to honor Jim Park. So saving your tax dollars and making a beautiful new investment. Something that has just opened in the past few months is the new Avery Johnson Park. It's just behind Blythe Oldfield School, and it is just incredible. My family and I went, and our golden doodle loves the new dog park, and it's just a fantastic addition, again, in that same Blythe Oldfield neighborhood. The very first neighborhood in Cleveland ever got one of the newest and largest parks in Cleveland. And so it was just a wonderful addition to our community, just opened this year. Back to Candies Lane, Mr. Cassada knows this route very, very well. The stormwater and traffic improvements of that area, a multi-million-dollar project, and yes, it took longer than we wanted to. Same with 20th Street, same with 17th Street, but sometimes making things better takes a little bit longer. I've been asked about Candies, I've been asked about 20th Street and some of the delays. We haven't had the greatest weather. That's the first problem. But when we do have bad weather, our storm water system, especially in some of these areas, is very, very dated. Mr. Fivas relayed to me that when they opened up 20th Street, which leads right to the historic downtown, the pipes under the road were made of clay. That's how old they were, from the 1920s. And so once that was discovered, not only did we have to fix what was above the sidewalks and above the streets, we then had to enlarge the scope of the project and fix what was beneath the streets. So we had to dig in the clay to fix the clay, but it's going to be fantastic when it's all finished. How do we look above the horizon and looking forward? Well, we have had multiple studies done. And again, Kim tries to keep me off the Facebook. It's actually her Facebook. I have to log in as Kim to read Facebook. And she tries to stop it because my blood pressure goes up. Because most of the conversation is about Paul Huff and why in the world are you letting somebody else build a restaurant on Paul Huff? Well, here's why. 250,000 people drive through the city limits of Cleveland every day. Now, our population has just been updated by the census. In fact, we think it was too low. It was 47,394. We appealed it. They have agreed to look at it again. We believe it's around the 50,000. Even at 50,000, 250,000 people are making individual driving trips through the city of Cleveland. Residential growth, the request for new housing, the request for planned unit development housing is at an unprecedented rate in both the city and in county. Traffic congestion and street maintenance truly remains our largest issue as infrastructure, and we have a future economic consequences which will be negative if we don't act now. Surveys, that is you all, have told us that transportation and downtown redevelopment are your top priorities. I'm very thankful again, the City Council has done such a great job in making key investments in our schools, public safety, and in the Jetport expansions. Public safety investments are allowing us to keep our award-winning certified police departments and fire departments running at the very best they can. School investments for the next generation. Kiwanis is about kids. City Council is also voting for the children. Mayfield Elementary, Candies Creek Elementary, the new school arena, the high school science wing, energy improvements, and of course the new football turf at the Raider Stadium. For public safety, we installed fire stations number 5 and 6. We have 5 new fire engines. I was able to, as mayor, sign for my first fire engine this week. It's a ladder truck. Am I right, Corey? Did we buy a ladder truck? I'm terribly excited about that. I just want to ride on it, quite frankly, with my grandchildren. 15 new police officer positions, 15 new firefighter positions, and of course the beautiful fire training center, which is state-of-the-art just on the other side of Cleveland. Those community surveys that you asked us, you told us when we asked you what your priorities are, 67.9 say traffic flow congestion is our highest or above average concern. Now, Mr. Miller mentioned that there's lots of campaigns going on. There's not a campaign in this world that would not want a 67 percentile. That is incredibly, incredibly high, and it shows almost 70% of people in Cleveland are really concerned about traffic and congestion. Downtown redevelopment, greater than half, 56% of the Clevelanders that responded to the survey said, we want to see something going on downtown. 53% of those told us we want something to do downtown. So I'm very thankful the City Council has included quality of life, parks, and new amphitheaters and other ideas going forward on the downtown redevelopment and the redevelopment of our south side neighborhoods going towards Exit 20, going towards South Lee Highway. I would give anything for the new Cheddars to be at Exit 20. I talked to the people myself at Stuckey's, the little blue roof. I said, Stephanie Stuckey, come see Exit 20. I'll buy lunch. I heard, I did not make this conversation myself, a local developer talked with Buc-ee's, the famous truck stop. But Buc-ee's told us that their new one in Calhoun was too close, and they've got some kind of a rule about how close. I would give anything for these businesses to be at Exit 20. I think it's the most beautiful place in Southeast Tennessee. But the traffic, remember I told you 250,000? The numbers make Paul Huff viable. People like Kelvin Bishop are paid large sums of money to tell us where's the most profitable place we can build in Cleveland. And when those audits come back, the most profitable places are not on the south side yet. With the help of the City Council and the help of all of you, we hope that the south side is going to be redeveloped. How do we need to respond to these growth issues? We need a clear plan to invest in our most dire community needs. We need to take control of our own destiny. It doesn't matter who owns what. The City Council and the City of Cleveland need to take control of our own destiny. Our lack of infrastructure costs us more every single year we delay. And without an infrastructure and investment plan, our jobs and our economic development will be significantly impacted. So the plan for the future, the plan to build our future, has a total cost of $30 million in a bond initiative. In the first year, 2022 through 2023, we hope to have a $20 million approximate bond, and then following that, phase two would be 2024 and 2026, an additional $10 million. The $30 million would be a mix of pay-as-you-go and bonding. One of the reasons former Senator Miller and I, while we served in Nashville, one of the reasons Tennessee is so good at building roads is we pay as we go. We don't go into debt. That same approach is being taken on by the City Council to pay as we go and then add some bonding on top of that. We will leverage an additional $25 million in addition to that 30 of state and federal funding through grants, which is available to us, for a total of a $55 million new infrastructure investment. The most important words on this entire PowerPoint is this one: no tax increase will be necessary to fund any of these projects. Our project focus will be transportation investment, congestions and traffic control, redevelopment of blighted areas, replacement of existing facilities, and of course, public safety investments. The first phase, 22 through 23, that first part of $20 million, is the Paul Huff Corridor Improvement Plan. There's a lot of words on this screen, and a picture is worth 1,000 words. There are 9 different areas of improvement that we're going to do on Paul Huff. It is our largest commercial corridor. There is more business and more tax dollars generated on this area than any other million-dollar mile in Cleveland, Tennessee. We're going to improve the Atkinson Drive. We're going to improve the Benmore Drive. We're going to improve the ramps coming off of 75. We're going to improve the Holiday Inn Express intersection. We're going to improve the Peerless intersection, the Peerless connector, which is behind that intersection, a right in and right out at Wyatt Road, a Mouse Creek intersection, and an Atkinson Drive widening the entire length of it all the way down in front of Cleveland State. So it's a very aggressive, but in my mind, necessary part of our improvement of our city. I would have to say it's probably the thing that we hear at City Hall about the most, so we put a great deal of emphasis on it. Still on phase one, that first $20 million, a design and right-of-way of the Ocoee bypass, which is off 20th Street, which would connect over towards Stewart Road, very necessary for that part of our town. The intersection that gets talked about the most for us near historic downtown is Ocoee and 25th, and the need to widen that. The state has agreed to do that, and we will have a match, which is that pulling down of that money. Replacement of all the Mosby Park playground area, a small area plan for a grant for the College Hill, and gateway replacement of all the streetscaping on Inman Street from east, which is coming from 64, all the way down to Ocoee Street. A Greenway safety initiative. I'll divert from the slide a few seconds. We had a great youth council. I think Councilman Casta and Ms. Marcia was there. I want to say 31, was it 31 teenagers? I used to have teenagers. I thought these teenagers were going to talk about skateboard parks and baseball cards. I had no idea. But I was there, and it's the youth council sponsored by the city council. And I think to everyone's surprise, they're concerned about public safety. They told us, we think the Greenway is sketchy. That was the word they used. Yeah, don't put that in there, Tim. We need more safety on the Greenway. So we came up with the Greenway Initiative, which is a lighting initiative, a camera initiative, and a Wi-Fi initiative using the existing light pole infrastructure that's already been put in there by Cleveland Utilities. And I'm incredibly thankful that the City Council is moving forward rapidly with this plan, because I think the Greenway is one of the greatest assets of our city. Mrs. Brooks is a frequent user of it. She wishes I used it more than I do. But making it safer, making it well lit, putting cameras along the route, and safety call boxes, I understand, is one other thing. We talked about the Jim Sharp Playground, the Candies Greenway, And the Raise grant match, I don't have a slide for that, Corey, but the Raise grant is downtown's amazing future opportunity. How many people have ever heard trucks hit Inman Street Bridge? One or two? Thank you, Judge. I see that hand in the back. It's like church. I can't tell you how frustrating that is to me. A, we don't own the bridge. Norfolk Southern owns the bridge. B, I can't raise or lower Inman Street. So I'm incredibly grateful to the staff, Corey Dival, Mr. Fivas, and Greg Thomas, who came up with a plan to reroute truck traffic over towards 3rd Street and make a flyover bridge. It was in the paper. I think Tim had a picture of that. But it really is going to be a downtown game changer, getting traffic off of Inman Street, slowing it down, some people call it a diet, and moving all that truck traffic and the fast-moving traffic to the new flyover bridge, which will deposit just on the other side of the Whirlpool property. South Lee sidewalks, again, the Whirlpool redevelopment, Gott Street, which I think we voted on Monday, as I recall, Greenway Phase 6, which is the Starbucks connector, Michigan Avenue improvement, Atkinson Street, as we talked about, and we have a concept. Remember that slide that said 53% of the people want something to do downtown? We do have a conceptual drawing and some plans for an indoor sports complex somewhere in the downtown area. The second phase, the 23 through 26 phase, the second 10 million is the 25th Street corridor plan. And I can just tell you, you can see 25th and Ocoee, Parker, Chambliss, Peerless, a multipath, multimodal access grant, Georgetown, the J-turns on 25th Street, the entire 25th Street as we know it today will change once this has taken place. A downtown parking lot at what we all call the old woolen mill, Atkinson Street paving, Georgetown and 17th, Mouse Creek, municipal building improvements, and of course, again, the Whirlpool property improvements. In late 2018, when I was brand new, my first year as mayor, we completed the downtown redevelopment plan for a revitalization plan of Cleveland. We worked with Whirlpool to ask them to tear down the buildings that were there so we could begin to see the possibilities. We worked with the Agora complex, which I said earlier was the old Permacolor building. At that time, the city council voted to purchase the Cherokee Hotel, and we applied for build grants to try to make all of downtown better. As we go forward, reimagining and re-imaging all of downtown is a massive project, but we've completed or in the middle of redevelopment of the Sander Hosiery project. In front of that, I showed you on the other picture, is the Edward Street project. We want to increase parking at the First Street Square. The RFPs that were picked up for people interested in the Cherokee Hotel, 13 in the teens. Yeah. Multiple general contractors seem to be very interested in what could be a wonderful new rehabilitation to downtown. We want to rehabilitate Johnston Park that we all seen for so long. I told you the more development is about to happen. The Inman Street streetscape was reported this week, voted on Monday. A proposal to purchase everything on the west side, which is owned by Whirlpool, now Phoenix. For those of us locals, that's everything behind the museum and all of those structures to make sense. The Woolen Mill parking we talked about, and additional help as we can to the Five Points Museum. So, incredibly large amount of information. I'm incredibly grateful to the staff that puts all this together. It takes a village to keep me straight, as you can imagine, but I do like to leave a few minutes of question and answers. I'll be happy to stay as long as you would like. I do want to be respectful. I am a Rotarian. At 1 o'clock, the rapture happens and everybody leaves. So I want to be respectful of that. But let me end by saying Cleveland, Tennessee is an amazing place to be. And there could not be a place that Kim and I are more honored to serve than in our hometown. This is our hometown, and we want to keep it that hometown feeling. No matter how big we grow, or no matter how fast the industries move here, we are Cleveland, and we are proud of that. And I'm incredibly grateful for the invitation to be with you today. Mayor Cartwright, thank you for honoring us by joining us today. My council members, thank you for taking the time to be with us today. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. I see, yeah, yes, sir.
Mayor, do you or Tom have any updates on Georgetown since they started?
Updates on Georgetown Road. Yes, there are lots of barrels. We we actually had an MPO meeting yesterday, and the progress was noted. Thankfully, all of the acquisition, that's kind of what held us up for so long, were some of the parcels along the way were not receptive to what the state was offering. It is a state project, but it is definitely going forward. And definitely now, as you can see by the absence of all the trees, I get more calls about why did they take down all the trees than anything else about Georgetown. And it's simply because to build a 4-lane highway with turn lanes down the middle, you have to have a clear path. And but the updates are they are moving forward, and we're so thankful. I'm already looking forward to phase 2. Judge, you had the other end.
Yeah, it took them over 7 years to start, and they kept saying it would be this fall. Let's hope it's not 7 years.
You are correct. Let's hope, and thank God the money's there and they can't take it back this time. Judge.
Yes, give voice to the potential advantage to the city with the census appeal. If you can get certified over 50,000, does it make the city eligible for additional grant funding? What's the purpose behind it?
It's a great question, Judge. Yes, the quick answer is yes. If we are able to reach that 50,000 threshold, and we've already been told, I'm going to look at Corey, 18 annexations were not included. Yeah, I think the number was 18. So from the time that they took the census and they asked the city of Cleveland to report any annexations since we took the census, there were 18 neighborhoods that we annexed into the city limits that were not included in that 47,000 number. So we're very confident we're going to hit 50. And it does open doors. It opens grants. When we went from an RPO, a rural planning organization city, to an MPO, a metropolitan, it opened the door for millions of new federal dollars. And we are hoping that our census count will do the very same.
I have one other follow-up. When you think about growth in Paul Huff, is there a fear of the law of diminishing returns? Yes, the businesses know that's where the traffic is, so they want to be there also. But at some point, if it becomes so onerous to drive on Paul Huff with such traffic, is there a fear that people might just say, I'm going to go somewhere else, not necessarily outside the city,
Right.
but to other areas? And is that something that the city is focused on and tries to convey to businesses and thinking of relocating?
It's a great follow-up, Judge, and I feel like I'm in court right now. Cross-examining me. No, it's a great question, and I think we already are there. I think people are already making decisions not to go to Paul Huff, especially certain times of day. So there are, on the plan that you just saw, the Stewart Road 20th Street connector that is on the plan definitively to be beginning in the 22, 23 years. We hope will be a relief mechanism that people won't have to go around. They can cut Stewart and bypass that busy commercial corridor. The other thing that was actually talked about Monday, Mr. Sinyard was there at our MPO, was the Exit 20 new local interstate connector roads. Miss Marcia was there. A new plan that was approved by TDOT to begin the study. They gave us $250,000. They liked the plan very much, which would create a new commercial corridor, which we hope will attract new industries, businesses, restaurants. I use the words Turkey Creek as a comparable. In Knoxville, Farragut, technically, you have to get off at an early Farragut exit or go to the next one, but all along the interstate, there's a commercial/residential corridor. And so that's the model, that's the idea, the Turkey Creek look. I actually probably will get in trouble for saying this publicly, but I call it Paul Huff 2.0. I call it the next area of investment for our city, and it is at Exit 20. It also connects to the Tom Rowland interchange, which I'm tired of people calling that the connector to nowhere. We're going to make it bigger and better and more beautiful than anything on Exit 27, and it's going to be, I think, the answer to the growth and to the congestion. We hope the state continues to be very, very happy with it. So far, they are. Good questions. Any other? Hi, Kelvin.
Hello, Mayor. Quickly, downtown parking. I just met with a business that's opening downtown in February, and their comment about their biggest concern with location was parking. So what's in the plan? Just, I know we're running short on
Sure.
time, but-
I don't know where that business is located, but in the plan today is the First Street parking. It's number 3, increase parking at the First Street Square. So I don't know where that business is locating. Well, there it is. It's in First Street Square. We are increasing their parking now. I can also tell you that the studies that we show is that there are ample parking spaces. It's just not right in front of their door. So the city parking, the municipal parking, the open, free public parking are usually a block away. I think of the Cafe Roma corner. If you walk just a block or two in any direction, there's quite a bit of parking. It is hard even for the mayor to park in front of Cafe Roma and go in and eat. So I can just tell you that that's being talked about. There were a couple of multi-story parking garages on some of the conceptual drawings that we had. I think it's a great idea to have a parking deck downtown. I was surprised at the resistance to that by some downtown store owners and historic residents that felt like that was a little intrusive. But to be continued. Good question. Thank you. Any other questions? This was easy. Thank you so much for making it easy for me.
Thanks, Kevin, very much. Wonderful information, valuable information that we got. It was just terrific. I'm tempted to hold you past 1 for the rapture to see if that actually happens, but I won't do that. Thank you for all of our guests that came today. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. We are adjourned.